Aging millennials and new markets. Sticking to health, as concerns about health rise, so do opportunities for investing in solutions to them. One category that is perhaps more disposed to caring about health and maybe doing and spending on it is the silvers or aging millennials, while Generation Z or Z, on the other hand, is focused on areas like health and gut, which is, of course, a separate opportunity. Not surprisingly, funds like Fireside Ventures are scouring for and betting on companies in this space. If our earlier report on cardiac care focused on the cures, this is broadly where the prevention lies, at least the opportunity in the kinds of companies, if not the specific ones. I spoke with Vinay Singh, co-founder of Fireside Ventures, and I began by asking him where he was seeing specific demand in the silver category and the background to it.
On the silver side, what we are seeing, especially post-COVID, right, Govind, is that COVID was like an accelerant for digital adoption. Whatever inhibitions or objections, just inertia that people had in terms of adopting digital technologies, they had to find a way to just adopt it to get stuff going, whether it was for professional or for just personal purposes of, I don't know, restocking their homes with food or medicines or just doing digital consultation with doctors, communicating with their family, etc. Now, the two paths to silvers. One is people who already are in the 55 plus age bracket. And then there is a whole emerging, what we call the aging millennial cohort. And I think millennials turned, if I'm not mistaken, about 45 this year or 46 this year. And they will, in the next 10 years, certainly become silver. And we know that millennials are very digital native when it comes to either discovery of products and services or consumption of services or buying of products. And that's the spectrum that we're dealing with, right? So there's already a silver who has become digital savvy because of the COVID acceleration. That's on one end. And on the other end, in the next 10 years, we're having aging millennials becoming silvers themselves. And that's the spectrum that we're dealing with. Now, and they have a whole bunch of things that they are concerned about, right? And especially COVID was an accelerant for another category behavior, which was preventive healthcare or preventive wellness. Yes, some of us go for our annual checkups. The number of people per capita going for annual checkups has taken its actually a jump. We were forced to measure our SpO2 levels because we wanted to understand the impact of COVID. Now, wearables have become much more common in everyday use in terms of smartwatch penetration, rings, patches, various form factors, but wearables which allow you to measure some vitals about your body. So between the uptick of, hey, I want to know more about my body through diagnostics and I want to continuously monitor it through wearables, we are seeing that a lot of these people have taken a keen interest in their own health, in their own wellness, and therefore wanting to do things that prevent issues in the future. And that leads to products and services, which could be around bone health, around joint health, around gut health, around wellness around these areas. It could be either in the form of topicals, ingestibles, procedures, or wearables.
Do you have a sense that, I'm just guessing, it seems a little natural that as people get older and as you say, they approach silver status, which means they're closing retirement or close to retirement, they're also careful about what they spend. So therefore, while they could spend a lot, what they will spend on maybe not as big, though the verticals may be large.
No, I think it's going to be a bit of both, right? Like, for example, I don't think that we have wealth solutions today in general for the population, leave alone specialized wealth solutions for silvers. They have properties, put into reverse mortgages, put into, living a better lifestyle today. There is a lot to be done. What we are seeing from our vantage point, at least what we are seeing is that this is already big spend pools that are getting organized. And there are new emerging spend pools. For example, we met a couple of businesses where they specialize in senior travel. And this is not spiritual travel. This is either domestic or global travel Because the other issue that they are seeing is empty nesters, especially people after they have become, lost one of their partners, get very lonely. And one of the ways to deal with it is to travel. And they do it in groups. They also have a doctor traveling with them in case there's an issue, etc. So
Yeah.
that's another big vertical. Another big vertical we are seeing emerging is just senior living. I mean, this was a concept that did not exist in India 20 years ago, right? And today we see most big cities, whether it's NCR, whether it's Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad,
Yeah.
Bangalore, we are seeing senior living as a concept coming up in the real estate area.
Yeah. So at this point of time, I mean, which of these categories look, let's say, more profitable? I mean, I know that senior living has been around for some time. Care as a platform has been around. And I also realize or recognize that not all of it is seeming profitable, though the ideas are good and the need is there. So, I mean, as you look back in terms of what's been already done or attempted, and in the entire silver category, what are the top two or three categories that to you at this point seem profitable, exciting? And I'm leading with the word profitable.
I was kind of trying to address that, saying that senior living may be profitable. We haven't spent enough time on that. Where we are spending a lot of time, just given our DNA of consumer brands, is on the health and wellness side. We are seeing an explosion of opportunities out there. We are spending some time on at-home devices, appliances, etc., which is might be either just appliances or variables, might take a nature of more testing, diagnostics, data. We are spending some time on services because especially single specialty, somebody who has just wants to get a small procedure done, doesn't need to go all the way to a multi-specialty hospital, expose themselves to, super dogs, etc. There are three areas where we feel a lot of excitement. Interestingly, what we have started also seeing, Govind, is, for example, mainstream categories. While our exploration led us here, food categories, actually creating fortified foods which are specifically meant for certain set of the single population. Women, post-menopause, lose bone density. Osteoporosis, osteopenia are issues with a lot of women in their 50s and 60s.
So, in your portfolio of investments, present and maybe work in progress, where do you see this category in terms of, let's say, the overall allocation as things stand and how it could be?
So actually, the answer is different for how you cut the data, right? For example, in about Fund 1, which was about 5-6 years ago, we had maybe one company doing wellness, which was Capiva. It's trying to solve issues of diabetes and so on. As we got into Fund 2, we had 4 companies in wellness. In Fund 5, we already have 6 companies. In terms of percentage allocation, Capiva would have taken, 6-7% of the fund. And today we're already up to about 20% out of the fund investing in healthcare and wellness. Now, is all the 20% going into only silver related themes? No. Some of it, for example, in Fund 2 has gone into gut health. Now, there's a company called The Good Bar. It's in the probiotic space. They also cater to seniors. A good third of their business comes from 50 plus people, but 2/3 of business is with younger people straight. So the right way to look at this is what percentage of the health and wellness business is coming from silvers. And that is like across businesses except for very specific. Let's say we have a business in the fertility space, which obviously is the late 20s, 30s. But if it's a general wellness company, at least a third of the business comes from 50 plus people. If you look at e-commerce adoption and contribution of 50 plus to e-commerce, it's less than about single digits at about 7-8%. So there's a significant adoption of health and wellness online products/services amongst this cohort as compared to general population e-commerce.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.